What if we're meant to be the helpers and the healers of this world, not the hurters and the harmers we've become? What if the animals on this planet are not here for us, but with us? As an animal-loving 5-year-old, on being told I couldn't have a pony, I eyed my scooter with one eye. My mother wouldn't even let me have a bicycle because she considered them way too dangerous. So I guess you can see why that pony was out of the question. And with my other eye, I eyed the kitchen stool. And I said to myself, what if? So borrowing a pair of my mum's pantyhose, I whipped the wheels off my scooter. I tied a tyre to each end. And with some ingenious refashioning, I had a saddle. And that kitchen stool, she became a pony. Since that day, my life has been full with many, many profound what-if moments. Not the least examining humanity's relationship with the other animals of this world, as I repeatedly ask myself, what if we've got it all wrong? In 2003, a pig trotted into my life, tugged on his leash and my heartstrings, and took me in a direction I could not have imagined. To say that I love that pig is an understatement. To put it in some perspective for you, imagine a favourite cat or dog or bunny rabbit you've had in your life. Times it by a zillion. Put it on steroids. Pump it up a bit more. And you're coming somewhere near the love and affection I had for that pig. I named him Edgar Allan Pig. And I would take him for walks in the park with my little dog E.T. And people came from everywhere to marvel at Edgar and his unique brand of pigness. They'd stop what they're doing. They'd come on over. And they'd rub his glorious tummy. And Edgar, the consummate ambassador that he was, he'd offer these deep, raucous goo-goo-goo-goo-goo piggy grunts at just the right time. People were so amazed at how friendly and cheery Edgar was. They'd say things like, oh my gosh, he's so clever, he's so clean, he's better than my boyfriend. And this got me thinking that people never really get a chance to know animals like Edgar. Yet every day they determine how those animals live and die. But what if people did get a chance to know animals like Edgar? I mean, really got a chance to know them as the unique individuals they are. Would pigs get a better deal? Edgar loved going for walks in the park with E.T. They both knew their name, and occasionally, if it was their want, they would answer to it. They both loved sitting on the couch watching TV. And when it was hot, I'd turn up the air conditioner to cool them down. And when it was cold, I'd stoke up the fire to keep them warm, and they'd curl up in front of it together. For all intents and purposes, Edgar and my E.T. were pretty much the same, except for one stark reality. They looked a little bit different. And our society uses those outward differences to determine how they're treated. In the case of my little dog, well, he was considered a pet. In the case of my glorious pig, well, he really drew the short straw because he was labelled a food production animal. Yet in coming to know Edgar and a cast of formerly farmed animals, as I've been so fortunate to, I have to ask, what if we've got it wrong? Throughout history, one of the great determinants of a society's ethical progress has been our ability to embrace those we once considered different. From the colour of one's skin to the religion one followed to gender. Our society says, well, there's no justification for different treatment or consideration. Yet for too long, these things have been the arbiter of how animals are treated. We have become guilty of playing favourites when it comes to the animals of this world. But it has been said that the way that we treat those animals is the next great social justice movement. And I really do think that's on the money. We shower affection and animal protection legislation on some animals based on the form they've taken and our familiarity with them. Yet we deny other animals affection and animal protection legislation based on the intended use we have of them. The things that have nothing to do with the animals themselves. Yet for too long those things have been the arbiter of our treatment of animals, and in doing so shaping our perceptions of them and in circumventing our inherent compassion and ethical thought. We look in horror at countries that truss up cats and dogs with wire and rope for human consumption. We're aghast at nations that put bears into small metal prisons for the extraction of their bile. And we sign petitions against those who shoot harpoons into whales that causes them to die slow, agonising deaths. But what if we took the people who did those things to animals and walked them through our modern factory-day farms and slaughterhouses? What if we walked behind the labels of free-range, organic and grass-fed? Would we still find animals being bent to our will? Would we still find their suffering and death? Would our moral compass be any better? Or have we just become better at kidding ourselves that it is? And what if I were to tell you that science informs that many animals, and this includes aquatic animals, have been shown to have similar neurological substrates in their brains as to humans? In short, they're sentient. Now, what's that translate to? Given the chance, those animals can lead rich, full, and emotionally charged lives. And even if you're still undecided with all of this, shouldn't we at least err on the side of caution? Because what if we have got it wrong? Think of the untold animal suffering and death. And what if I were to tell you that chickens are affectionate and they count? No, they really do count. Trust me, they count. It blew me away. I know of a chicken who could peck out the number of dots on a randomly tossed dice with 100% accuracy. 100%. Now, this wasn't some chicken who led a charmed life who was bred to be the Einstein of the avian world. No. This was a sweet little battery hen that was rescued from a battery hen farm where she'd be pumping out egg after egg after egg. One day the farmer was walking through his sheds and he saw a chicken staring at him, and he walked over and he stepped back at her, she stepped back at him, he stepped back at her, she stepped back at him. And for the first time in his life, he didn't see a production unit in front of him. No. He saw a living, breathing, feeling being. Moreover, one who deserved none of what he was doing to her. And right then and there, he decided to ask himself, well, what if I can find another way of living? And he did. He now grows tomatoes. And what if I were to tell you that mother cows deeply love their babies and they suffer terribly when those babies are taken away from them, as they are in the dairy industry, shortly after birth. So the milk that mother cow intended for her baby can be taken for human consumption. And those sweet little doe-eyed babies, well, they're considered a waste product. The first mother cow to show me beyond a shadow of a doubt how much she loved her baby and the lengths that she would go to protect that baby is named Clarabelle. She came from the dairy industry and she got to live her final days at a sanctuary. She arrived there pregnant. And when she gave birth to her baby, she hid that baby in the forest because she didn't want that baby taken away from her like every one of her babies before had been. But that time was different because she got to keep her baby. And what if I were to tell you that sheep and cheeky little lambs wag their tails in delight when they see their favourite humans, just like dogs do? But unlike dogs, they can have those tails and even parts of their backside hacked off without any anaesthetic or pain relief. Right now, I'm caring for an orphan lamb. She follows me just about everywhere. And you guessed it, when she sees me, she wags her tail in delight. Her name is Kansas. There is no doubt that our current treatment of animals is based on old and outdated ways of thinking. But what if that doesn't have to consign us to that way of living? Come the pies! It's just starting to make sense, wasn't it? But there's a story here. You see, when I was little, I'd go around the house, come the pies, come the pies, come the pies. And the reason I did that was because my dad barracked for Collingwood. And dads are cool. They know everything, right? I figured it wasn't a Ahern family tradition to barrack for Collingwood. But then I stopped and thought about it, and Collingwood wasn't that cool team. In fact, I didn't even really like football. What I would rather be doing is grabbing my scooter, borrowing my mum's pennies, whipping with, riding my imaginary horse around the kitchen. That's what I wanted to do. But my foray into football is very symbolic of so many of the things that we do in this world, the beliefs that we hold, the foods that we eat. They're things that we've inherited from other people and never really thought that much about. But when we have the courage and the compassion to change, we can have the ability to do so. We can rewire our brains for its neuroplasticity and in doing so find our true north. If I wrong another human, there are many means they can take to seek redress. But when it comes to the animals of this world, we can and do get away with pretty much anything. We can profit from their suffering and death, We can get away with their neglect. We can selectively breed them into bodies which are incompatible with their own good health. We can subject them to weather extremes, whether in vast open paddocks or crammed into tiny feedlots, with no protection from the elements. We can separate families and friends. We can deny them means to satisfy their natural behaviours. We can become their harmers and their hurters, and no one will blink an eye. But what if we choose not to? What if we choose to rise to the greatest within us and become the helpers and the healers of this world? And we can do this every single day by asking ourselves one simple what-if question, one that I trust will find a place in your hearts and guide your thoughts and decisions. And that question is this: what if we could live happy and healthy lives without harming others? Why wouldn't we? There's an idea worth spreading.